Around the Ozarks is now on your FM radio. Listen to Around the Ozarks mornings with Grace Gooley as I spotlight local people, stories, and podcasts, all while playing the country legends of the 90s and the hit makers of the 2000s. It's on the Ozarks' best country, 105.1 The Bull.
You're listening to The Real Deal Conversations, a podcast designed to encourage, inspire, and equip you by sharing real stories and meaningful conversations that bring real life to the surface. I'm your host, Megan Deal. Let's dive in. This episode is brought to you by Ozark Veterinary Clinic. I am with Drew Williams today, who is the somewhat new.
Yeah.
Still new, still fresh since last fall.
Yeah.
Lead pastor at North Point, Springfield, now overall, which is exciting. Are you loving it so far?
It's great. It's awesome.
Cool.
It's a giant, big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
Jeremy Johnson's a goat in this community. So stepping into his shoes and running the gun, and North Point's an awesome church.
Yeah.
So,
but the thing is, leadership isn't your first rodeo.
Correct.
This isn't like you're just stepping into leadership.
Right.
And so, and that's why there was a message you had spoke, I think it was 3 weeks now? Anyway. And I was like, oh, that's good. We got to have him on. We need to have him share a little more about leadership, because I was like, that's really in today's world of division. I was like, man, that was very well worded. And I'm not going to tell you guys what it is now. We'll get into it later. But anyway, leadership, it's often talked about when things are going well. But most people are leading while tired, stressed, carrying a lot of responsibility.
Yep.
And what has leadership taught you? What has it taught you through those hard seasons and navigating hard seasons?
Yeah, I mean, that's a big question. Could go a lot of different directions.
Yeah.
First instinct reaction is it's taught me that you better be in it for people.
Yeah.
You better, if your motivation is not to better the lives of people around you, and your motivation isn't to serve people around you, the cost of leadership will break you.
Yeah.
Because it's hard.
Yeah.
It's vulnerable. It's difficult. It's challenging. It's not easy. And so, in the good days, everyone's like, oh, yeah, look at them, and in certain ways. And if no matter what organization you work for, if you're a great leader, people will notice. You'll make a difference. You'll normally make more money, all of those things. But a lot of people get into leadership for money, and then they don't love people. And that's where toxic workplaces come from, is because it's hard. It's not easy.
Yeah.
So there's a book I read one time called Leadership Isn't for Cowards. And the opening, the whole concept of the book is his opening sentence, I think, is you're messing with people's lives.
Yeah.
And then he goes on to the book from there.
Yeah.
And so then it's there's a weight of it. There's responsibility.
Yeah.
So any good leader was following, if, they got to be moved by people. So because you're going to deal with a bunch of junk.
Yeah.
A lot of problems. Your job is to solve problems all day. And in today's world and society, people are always looking to blame a leader for why their life is the way that it is, in kind of this toxic, victim thinking thing of it's their fault why X, Y, Z. Well, if you step into any kind of leadership role, you are now on that list of people's reasons why. It's always a teacher, a boss, a judge, whatever. That's they're the reason why.
Yeah.
Because we don't like owning our stuff. So you'll 100%. Take the blame for things you didn't do. You'll take, it's vulnerable. The higher you go up in leadership, the worse the decisions get, because people delegate up the worst decisions. So all the things that hit your desk are the 55-45s, I call them. No matter what you do, 45% of the people are going to be upset.
Yeah.
Because the easy decisions always get taken care of at the lowest level of the organization.
So how do you, okay, so that actually is a good transition into my next question. What a lot of people can feel very burned out.
Yes.
When you have the weight of what you just said. You have the weight of the decisions always moving up. You have the weight of, we got, we're pleasing this many, we're not pleasing this many. And so the burnout gets real.
Yeah.
And even when you have the best intentions, burnout can get real. And so what would you say, and here's the other thing too, you can't, when you have a family, when you have, responsibilities and career, you can't just walk away because you're burned out.
Right.
So how do you lead when you're burned out?
Yeah. That's a good question, because everyone will get there.
Yeah.
And you can't burn out publicly when you're leading people. But a lot of leaders are so they put on the good face to go into the work. And that is a part of leadership. You got to go, when you sign up for leadership, you kind of lay down the right to have a bad day.
Yeah.
Because if you walk into a building, especially if you're in in-person environment, you have to carry yourself in a way that's followable.
Yeah.
And if you're like demonstrating your burnoutness every day, then it's like the whole thing's gonna go down with you, And I think a good leader again understands that weight, which can almost magnify the internal burnout factor. Is like that whole thing. So I think you've got to find ways to like everyone's different. You got to understand like why are you burnout. I always say you can change two things normally: your situation or your perspective. You can change your situation, quit your job, go apply for another one. But again, because you're probably getting paid more to be a leader, the golden handcuffs of I can't quit this job that I hate, and I got into it for money, but it's sucking my soul out.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that feeling. So you have to you can change your situation or you can change your perspective. And almost every time changing your perspective is the right play. Yeah. I mean, your third option is do nothing and just burn out and hit an actual mental breakdown, which I've also done.
Yeah.
So that's option 3 is a no-go. You got to change something. You got to change your situation or change your perspective. And so for me, I think it's like a perspective shift of like, okay, why am I here? Yeah. What do I enjoy? What is actually on me? A lot of times we play the hero. So we put too much weight on our own shoulders, unrealistic amounts of weight. And so then you're carrying weights that actually no one's asked you to carry.
Yeah.
If you're a people pleaser, which a lot of us are more than we'd like to admit, it's the weight of people pleasing and making everyone happy. And so really defining like, I don't know, you got to really think through like, why am I doing this? What am I doing it for? What are your motivators? What are your intrinsic things that actually do move your heart and put your heart back in it? For me, it's people.
Yeah.
I used to lead a big organization. And when I was in my office working on problems, I would get really frustrated. But then I would just go back and sit down and have a conversation with a real person.
Yeah.
That always motivated me. One of my employees would be like, okay, no, I'm here for, Billy.
Yeah.
And Billy's got real problems. And even that, I'd realize, the problems I have are actually like first world problems. So sometimes just like finding some way to get yourself grounded. Why am I here? What am I really doing? Yeah. Always bring it back to the people. Bring it back to like what people am I helping by doing this well?
Yeah.
And so these tough decisions and this and that. And normally for most good leaders, when you reconnect with the people that you're leading on a very real level, it should light your fire again to be like, okay, this is why I'm doing this. I'm here to move lives. And again, if that doesn't move you, go be like an engineer or something.
And so you had mentioned in that you have, burned out and just, so learning from that, for people who haven't hit the burnout phase yet, what would you tell them some things to put in place to be guardrails so that they don't hit that as quickly? Or, I mean, burnouts, it's just, that's part of life. It's just situations come that you can't avoid. But what are some things that you learned from that? You're like, okay, I'm going to put this in place in order to help me avoid this again. Yeah,
you have to have some boundaries that you put on yourself. And again, the further you move up in leadership, the less anyone's going to help you do that.
Yep.
No one, the cost of doing well is doing more. In every organization. So your employer is never going to say, hey, why don't we take some stuff off of your plate? They're going to say, Megan's got it. Megan's doing great. Yep. No one says, so we should give Megan less.
Right.
Everyone says, we should give Megan more. And your people-pleasing, ladder-climbing, affirmation-seeking self will always say, yeah, I got it. I'll take it. Because in the moment, like, so, you know what I mean?
Oh, I do.
So boundaries, so you have to have some kind of boundaries on yourself and have realistic boundaries in defining what your definition of success is. And so like for me, like things like rest have to be there. Like how do you actually have moments? How do you really disconnect? I used to have this terrible habit of I would check my Slack or my email while I was going to sleep on my phone. Why?
Yep.
So a simple boundary I put in is like, unless I'm going to allocate bandwidth to deal with what I'm about to read, I'm not going to read it. You know what I mean?
No, I do, yeah.
Because like most remote workforces now, Slack, where a lot of us are working across time zones and all of that. And so like, I can delve into it at any point. So like, even just things like that, saying, hey, like if it's 9 o'clock at night and there's a 0% chance that I'm going to read this, I'm going to do anything about what I'm about to read, don't read it.
Yeah.
You're not going to do anything about it anyway.
Yeah.
Other than worry, stress yourself out, lose sleep, wake up like with ringing ears at 3 o'clock in the morning. You know what I mean?
100%. And that's one of the things that Claire Plumley, she was on. She wrote the book, The Trauma of Burnout. And that's one of the things she said. She said at night, one of the things her and her husband do now is they bought an actual alarm clock. And when they're in their bedroom at night, they leave their phones in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And then put their alarm clock on because they're not even tempted
right.
to Because when you have like a high motor and you are like a people pleaser, well, I got to answer this email. I don't want to upset them. I don't want to. Well, that's not good for you.
It's not good for your mental pace.
No.
Because then you wake up on the hamster wheel.
Yes.
Or fall asleep on the hamster wheel.
Yeah.
Wake up, alarm clock, phone.
Yes.
Let me check this or that or social media or whatever. And it's like, your brain just starts firing on dopamine hits immediately.
And it was not built for that.
And for high achievers, like the dopamine hits of success, that's a drug.
I know. This whole last couple of years, there's a reason we're doing this series because I know I'm not the only one.
No, you're not. Yeah.
So in the faith space, something that is very commonly said when somebody is wearing down, they're tired, something that is said is, well, just rely on Jesus. He's going to give you the energy for it. He'll just, da 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 da. And I hate that. It's so
Cliche.
goofy. Yeah, it's so goofy and not true. So how did Jesus model rest while carrying responsibility?
I think that thing about Jesus is like he's fully God, fully man.
Yeah.
Which is wild. So he slept.
Yeah.
Like he technically didn't have to.
Yeah.
He's God. He could have just been like, I'm going to pull an all-nighter and be fine tomorrow.
Yeah.
But he didn't.
Yeah.
So I think you see like that pattern of him withdrawing. He also so he withdrew. He would take time by himself. He would pray. The father-son relationship, he really viewed God cleanly and purely the way. I think that's like what you learn from that. Is like, hey, the better I can see God's love for me.
Yeah.
I think it's John 14, 15, 16 in that chunk in there. He's like, as the Father has loved me, so I've loved you. And so like, I think for the believer, I think the most important thing you can do is get a healthy understanding from head to heart of the Father's love for you.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so then I don't find my identity in my title at work. I don't define it by this commission check or whatever the thing is. It's like, no, like who I am is what God says about me. And that sounds corny too, but like when you really get that, it does change how you view work and how you define success. So I also think too, tight circles, you know what I mean? Like he had masses, but he had the 12 and the 12, he had the 3. Who's your circle, and are they helping you? Garden of Gethsemane, if you think about it, he's like, hey, can you guys come with me and pray with me and stay with me, right? And they failed at that, right? But he still demonstrated this need to have people in his corner in his life that were friends of his future and knew him and he knew them. You know what I mean? Because all of us in our career, there's always an element of what you're doing that you're being what the organization needs you to be successful. And sometimes that's not really who you are, but you got to put on that hat for the organization to win. Yep. The organization's going to pass down decisions. I remember one time I had to, I got a layoff thing I had to go through, and I had to lay off people that I loved.
Yeah.
That was not a hat I enjoyed wearing, but it was the hat I had to wear for the organization.
Yeah.
I did not feel like myself that day.
Yeah.
It was the worst day of my career. I had to fire 16 people in one day, one at a time, over Zoom because it was during COVID.
Oh.
So people actually cared about, on the screen, it just felt cold and heartless.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is not who I am.
Yeah.
But in that moment, it was like, okay. So you know what I mean? Like, so in those moments, you better have people around you who really know who you are. If you take the job title in the organization you work for off of your name and just say people who really know Megan and can help you stay grounded in who you really are. Because that when your identity gets so tied to your job, you kind of forget who you are, which will contribute to the burnout. Yeah. So I feel like I'm giving you long-winded answers to everything.
No, I love it. And we're actually going to get into identity because it's really important. A lot of people do. Before I do real quick, how do you know the difference between needing to move on and being called to stay?
That's a great question. I think you got to pray through it. You got to find peace about it. Because I've done both. When I wanted to quit, I stayed. And I've done both where I wanted to quit and I did. Yeah. And I have times where I left and I wanted to stay.
Yeah.
You do have to like trust in the Lord with all your heart, like lean not on your understanding, in all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. So I think there's an element of like trusting he'll direct you in that space. Knowing that like God's not out to make your life miserable. Like he's not, you know what I mean? So at a certain point, it's like the thing is lifted, but it's actually your sense of security that's causing you to stay there, not him. And so like there is a getting out of the boat at every time. Like if you make a change, it's scary. It takes more trust to leave than it does to stay. Yeah. And it sometimes takes more trust to stay than to leave. And so really, like I'd say, like find your faith, find your trust in him, and like, okay, God, what are you asking me to do here? And also knowing that he's not out to mess you over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Romans 12, talks about that concept of, don't be conformed to this world, offer your body as a living sacrifice, right? So my life is yours, my mouth, my talent, my capability, my skill set, my capacity. God, it's yours. Don't be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So don't think about the situation the way everyone else thinks about it. So if you're in a workplace where everyone's at the water cooler, literally or figuratively, just like, well, it's like this and it's like that, and we're all, like the whole, you don't go with the group think. So don't be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So try to think, God, how do you see this situation?
Yeah.
How do you see my boss? How do you see my work? And then it says that by testing, you'll be able to determine the will of God, what is good, right, and perfect. So I think that word testing means by trying stuff.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we can overthink God's will for the situation.
Yes.
It's like, hey, by trying something, you actually discern the will of God. And it's almost like you got to try stuff, like what's working, what's not, and try stuff. Like I had business ventures I got into that just didn't work.
Yeah.
And in that trial, I learned that's probably not the will of God. Why? Because it failed. You know what I mean? We overthink it.
I do know what you mean. My husband and I bought a coffee trailer last year.
Yeah.
And we sold it this past December.
Yeah.
But that is how we are. We're like, oh, we'll try it. I'm learning not to try as much at one time.
Yeah.
That's my problem, is I try too much at one time because I have this little piece of space on my plate. So I'm like, oh, we're good.
Yeah, let's try it. Yeah.
No.
Or it's like we try nothing.
Yeah.
Because you're probably on either side. Like your slant is like, you probably have an entrepreneurial itch where you're like, yeah, let's go try it. You have a default, we can figure this out thing in you.
Yeah.
A lot of people on the other side of the spectrum have a default, I can't do it. Like I'll fail if I try.
Yeah.
And so I think it's, but I do think you discern God's will by trying stuff.
Yeah.
And even I guarantee you, you look at the coffee shop thing and you're probably not saying, well, that failed. You are saying that wasn't for us.
100%.
And we learned some really cool stuff. And guess what you can check off the list in the back of your crazy brain now?
Yeah.
Owning a coffee cart.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, I'm not going to try that again.
Yeah.
And so I think I always tell people just go try stuff.
Yeah.
If you assume, go back to God loves me thing, right?
Yeah.
If I really believe I have a Heavenly Father that loves me, I'm going to just try stuff. It's like I have kids that play sports and it's like, I don't know, man, try it, see what happens.
Yeah.
And so they're finding their passions, but you want them to try stuff. I think your Heavenly Father is the same way. And I think as you walk out your faith, it's like, let me go try this. And I think that Romans 12:1 verse to me is like a life thing. It's like, I don't know, let's go try it.
Yeah.
God closed this door if it's not from you, but I'm going to try it and I'm going to at least learn something.
Yeah, no, I love that. That's really how Daniel and I operate. And that's how we looked at it. We were like, it's not a failure. It's just, it didn't work.
Yeah.
It wasn't for us.
Right.
But yeah,
and that's okay.
But I do agree with that. I'm really glad you said that, because I think a lot of people need to realize trying something isn't failure if you have to pivot.
Right.
And you are so right. You have learned something. You have added tools to your toolbox. Whether it's what to do, what not to do is still a tool. Yeah. So, I'm with you.
And most of the time when you take a step out of your current moment and you look back, you can sort of see, if you've been walking with God for a long time, you can kind of look back over now. For me, it's kind of cool because I'm getting old enough to be okay, I can think in decades now.
Yeah. I'm
like, from 10 to 20, I can see God's hand on that random job I had in high school and how it applies to what I'm doing today.
Yes.
I can see that, one of the stories is my first job at T-Mobile, I worked there for 20 years, but it was answering phones on the night shift in the retention department. And I was like, I'll last maybe 6 months of doing this. This is a terrible job. Yeah. But I figured it out, got decent at it, got promoted a couple times. And then I sold phones at the mall for 4 years while I was going to school. And then I came back and eventually I moved to Springfield in 2015 to be the site director for a call center here. Yeah. And the reason I was successful at that job, there's a few things, but one of the main ones is I had street cred with the people I was trying to lead because I had done their job.
Yeah.
Some random job from 17 years ago actually was the thing that made me great at what I was doing today. Yeah. God doesn't waste a season. He doesn't waste a minute. You learn stuff in the coffee cart, and if you're listening to this, your figurative coffee cart thing that you tried and you chalked up in your brain as a failure. No. Something happened in there, and God's always weaving that stuff together over time, and it's crazy to see. So when you operate from that frame of reference, it really takes the pressure off of you to get every decision right. Yeah. Should you stay or should you go? I don't know. God loves you. try stuff. Don't be dumb. Like make smart decisions.
100%.
But yeah, get out of the boat sometimes
I love
too.
That.
You know?
So real quick, and then we're going to move on. I went to school for ministry, and Daniel and I got pregnant, so I dropped out of school. We were so poor. I mean, we could have him graduate. One of us had to graduate, one of us couldn't. And I always wanted to encourage people, motivational speaker, everything, And that was gone. I had a baby, and then 13 years later, this is how cool God is, y'all. Okay. With nothing being wasted. 13 years later, after being a stay-at-home mom, that whole time, and doing random jobs and stuff, I stepped out in faith. I was like, okay, I'm going to start speaking. I'm going to do what I know I wanted to do. And the very first place that hired me to speak was the college that I had to drop out of. And that's like a
full circle moment.
But that's how good God is.
Right.
And how much time is not wasted. And all those years that I was a stay-at-home mom and doing all this stuff, just like you said, there was weaving happening that all played into what I even said that day.
Right.
And so I would just want to piggyback off of what Drew was saying and just understand, like, if you're in a season where you're like, I don't know what's happening, it feels like everything is falling down, feels like nothing's going right, God is 100% doing something.
Yeah.
And even if it takes, for me, it was a decade later, which I'm sure for some of you are like, that's not encouraging. But but still, he's going to do something, and it's not going to be wasted.
Yeah.
So, okay. All right. Identity. Let's get into identity.
Yeah.
You hit a little bit on it. So what happens when someone feels like their worth depends on how successful they are or what their role is? And I think this is very hard for a lot of people when, if you lose your job, if you have to transition, when you tie your identity to what you're doing, it's not firm foundation, and you're going to face plants.
Yeah.
So what can you tell us about, why that's not good, and, what is our actual identity?
Yeah. No, I think, if you're an Enneagram person, like I'm an Enneagram 3, it's like the achiever thing. And like so I'm kind of motivated to go do stuff. Like I want my life to count, like all that type of stuff always like motivates me. Like, but you can also, the shadow side of that is you find your identity and what you can contribute. Uh-huh. So I fundamentally, like the core lie I'll buy into if I'm not careful is I'm only valuable for what I can produce. Mm. Like if I can't do anything for Megan, then I'm useless. Mm-hmm. So like that at scale, so you need a leadership that can be, and you're a people pleaser, like that's can get pretty wild pretty fast. And so I had like a full on panic attack breakdown in the office in 2019. Mm-hmm. Like I got to get rushed to the hospital, whole thing. I thought I was having a stroke or a heart attack, pretty sure. Mm-hmm. Ended up going to a Christian counselor and figuring out like it was like a panic attack. But I had to kind of unwind myself a little bit because that's exactly where I was at. Yeah. I thought that I didn't know that I mattered to the world, to anyone. And success can be awesome, but can also be a drug. Like I got promoted and I was looking for affirmation through my work, and I was getting it. And that affirmation made me work harder. And then I got more affirmation, and then it made me work harder. And I got more affirmation. Yeah. And then it was like, I am what I do. Mm-hmm. And if you can't untie those two things, it can get very dangerous. Because if who you are and what you do, a couple things happen is like when what you do falls apart, because it will, whether it's a coffee cart or a layoff or a business failure or a pandemic or whatever, when what you do falls apart, you have to not fall apart with it. Mm-hmm. And so I've had to really, the simplest thing I've had to do is like learn to separate who I am from what I do. And that sounds really corny, but like, you probably can't see me right now, but I'm wearing a black jacket. Like I have to put my role on, like I put this jacket on in the morning and be like, this is what I do, but it's not who I am. Yeah. So that way, what happens to me then is I actually wear my leadership or my role or what I do with kind of a looseness and a humility in a sense, to where like you could be like, Drew, that jacket's ugly. And I could be like, yeah, it is ugly. But guess what I can do? I can take it off and objectively look at it and grow as a leader while also taking feedback and being coachable, because you're coaching my leadership and my work, not who I am. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? So like, but then I can put that back on and, and try it on different, or like I can adjust and grow. A lot of times, especially young leaders, or, whether you're young and you're a leader or you're a salesperson or you're a business owner, whatever it is, and you've found some measure of success, you really got to be careful about that, because then all of a sudden what you do becomes who you are, and people can't criticize what you're doing without you taking it personally.
Yeah.
And then you end up being kind of squirrely on the inside, you know?
Yeah.
So if you can delineate those two things, easier said than done. But trying to really separate, okay, this is not who I am. It's just my assignment. It's what God has for me right now. It's what I'm walking in, but he could take it away at any moment and I'd still be okay.
Yeah.
I probably would have said that, but when God did take it away, I was not okay.
Yeah, no, 100%. And when, especially for high achievers, you know, that's where identity really gets in the crosshairs, you know, high achieving people. Words of affirmation being love language. That's mine. Like, ugh, terrible.
Hey, you're doing a great job.
Thanks. You too, Drew.
We're all proud of you.
You too.
We're really proud of you. You know what you are? You're the real deal.
Thanks, Drew. But I had to really get to a place where, no, who am I? Like, who am I?
Right.
When everything is gone, who am I? What is at my core? And that really had to be done through just a lot of self-work. Like, what is my core? What is Otto? And I'm compassionate. I'm caring. I love people. I genuinely want people to know that tomorrow is possible. Like, that's my heart for people. And so I had to look at, like, okay, where, you know, if this is at my core, you know, then you're right. Like, it does not matter what's going on around me. It doesn't matter what my assignment is.
Yeah.
I'm just putting the values I have in place at this point.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if it's, when I was not working, I like construction workers down the road, just going and bringing them water.
Yeah.
That's
right.
doing something.
Yeah.
That's not visible. That's not, but it's doing something.
Yeah.
And it's understanding that. And as somebody who has been, you know, done a lot in the public and stuff. And so it's been both sides, but to understand, like, no, who am I as a person?
Right.
And I think it gets easier. I'm not saying it's like perfect. I'm not saying, you know, I went through a season just recently, you know, being pregnant. Now I'm a stay-at-home mom again. And I did have to unwind from,
who am I?
Whoa, I'm not this person anymore.
Yeah.
I'm just at home right now.
Yeah.
But I had to remind myself again, Megan, this is where you were at when you were a stay-at-home mom and you still were able to serve people and love people behind the scenes. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is, yes, identity is not tied. If you can understand who you are just in the automated, does that make sense what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like, who am I automatically, then it is a little easier not to tie your identity to the role.
It's kind of like I think you're saying, like, kind of what I'm hearing is, like, you're saying, like, it's who you are versus what you do, like the being versus doing thing.
Yes.
Do you know who Ruslan KD is?
No.
He's a YouTuber, and he's really blown up. He's a Christian dude. He has a book called Godly Ambition. That kind of takes, and it's not a new concept, but he just frames it up in a really simple way to understand. But he talks about purpose, calling, and assignment. And he layers them, and, like, your purpose is, everyone has the same purpose. He would be like, hey, your God-given purpose is really to know God and to make him known. That's why humanity exists. And, like, as a Christian, you would say, like, yeah, you come to that agreement, be like, yeah, I actually exist not to make Drew great and make Drew known. Like, we all, like, you and I, like, we just met today, right? We have the same purpose, to know God and to make him known. And that's where we'll truly find satisfaction. On top of that, you have calling, which is what you're talking about. That's your unique wiring. That would be your personality, which is formed over the family you were born into and the experiences that you've had, and the journey thus far has taught you certain things, and, like, the things that you've overcome, the failures you've had, like, all of those things kind of shape into a certain point, like, your calling. And I think if you can get a decent grip on your calling by the age of 30, you're doing good. If you can get a really great grip on it by the age of 40, like, I think that's where you want to aim for. And, like, not to just put people in brackets, but when you're young, you don't really know what your calling is. And that's what everyone's trying to figure out in their 20s. 20 to 30 is just like, who the heck am I?
I know. It's weird.
You know? And then it's like, and then the last layer is assignment, which is, what is the specific place and space that God has called you to right now?
Yeah.
And so when your assignment, if you don't have that layered, like, my deepest core need is met in my purpose is to know God and to make him known. My calling is a self-awareness of, like, okay, I have a pretty good grip on how God's wired Drew. Like, the cement, I was talking to somebody earlier today, I was like, man, by the time you're 40, the cement's dried.
Yeah.
Like, you are who you are.
Yeah.
And that sounds like depressing to some people, but it's like but embrace that and be like, this is my calling. I am made for this. This is how I think, how I operate, your default modes.
Yeah.
And then your assignment can change time to time. If you don't have those first two layers, what you're really finding is your identity and your assignment. And then my assignment is my job. It's my career. It's the title I have. It's my tax bracket. It's the neighborhood I live in. All those things are tied to assignment because your assignment could change. And then when that assignment changes, do you lose everything because you never actually knew what your calling was or what your purpose was underneath those two things. And now the rug's pulled out and you're like, well, who am I?
Yeah.
You know, and that's where people have these crashes and like midlife crises. And so I'd say, especially if you're listening, like double down on purpose, like really like internalize that, understand your calling, and then know that hold your assignment open-handedly.
Yeah.
It makes a difference. And if all that like made sense and you're like, I'd like to think more about that, the book is Godly Ambition by Ruslan KD, Ruslan KD, two letters, but super good.
Okay, love it. You explained that a lot better than I was able to. I love that. Okay, I want to get into humility. And I'm going to bring up Moses real quick. And everybody that listens continually is going to be like, oh my gosh, you say Moses one more freaking time. It ties into what you just said. And it ties into what I'm about to ask you. Because it doesn't matter your calling. It doesn't matter where. Okay, so Moses was tending sheep right before he was called into his assignment.
Yeah.
And I think it is a very powerful example of, and I know, but in case somebody's just listening for the first time, you look at Moses's life and then you see like in school, the classes that you do, the more classes you go, the harder they get because the more you're getting close to going out and doing the thing that you're supposed to do. And so the fact that that was the last thing he was doing tells us that the most important trait of a leader is a humility.
Yeah.
And so, and I'm a firm believer in that. But a lot of people can hear that and go, that's booty. That's I'm not humility. Excuse me. I came this far to serve people, to serve the people I'm leading. I don't think so. And it's the most important trait.
It is.
And so give me your take on why it's so important. And I'm going to say this. So Cam Stillings was on.
Yeah.
And he said, he's talking about investing, why it's so important to invest in the next generation, And he brought you up as an example. And he said the coolest thing, he said, Drew invited all the youth leaders over to his house to watch a game. And he was like, and it really stuck out to him. He goes, he wanted to invest in us. He wanted to put time in us to watch a game. And so anyway, piggyback off that, why is it so important to invest in your people?
Yeah, I mean, there's like this smart, like, and if you know Cam Stillings, it's like, why would you not? That guy is awesome.
I know.
He's only 21 years old.
I know. He's got a massive future ahead of him.
Right. And so like, that's, that's an obvious one. But like, I think, going back to the Moses and the sheep thing and like the humility, it's like, if you're going to be a leader, and I go back to the first thing I said, which was you better love people.
Yeah.
And that, and I've only been in like church, like I've only worked for a church for 4 months.
Yeah.
I built my whole career serving people, and then I was at T-Mobile at the end, I was a director of leadership development for like a 25,000 person segment of the business. Like it was this whole, I built a thing, around these principles of you better love people.
Yeah.
And so I think to me, people buy, John Maxwell always says people buy a leader before they buy a vision.
Yeah.
They're buying you. At the end of the day, they're buying into you.
Yeah.
And so, and if you don't love them, they're going to see through it. And especially in today's world, like Gen Z, Gen Alpha, the most over-marketed generation in the history of the planet, like fake doesn't sell anymore.
No.
It won't sell anymore. They've been flipping through targeted ads. Now AI is making it, just accelerating all that. They're like, that's AI, it's AI, it's AI. What's actually real?
Yeah.
If you don't really love people, I can tell you the next generation's BS detectors can go off real fast.
100%.
On you. And they're not going to follow you anywhere that you want to go. And whether you're leading a church or an HVAC company or, you're teaching at a school, people buy the leader before they buy the vision. And so people are buying into you. And so you better love them.
Yeah.
And it's not about you. It's the thing is like, a humble leader, like fundamentally understands that like it's a responsibility to take people to a place that they wouldn't go without you. Leadership is just taking people somewhere they don't want to go.
Yeah.
Otherwise, why would you need to lead them?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Moses was prepping with sheep because he was about to lead like a couple million people through the Red Sea and the wilderness and the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, so he was learning to love people by loving sheep, you know? And it's not about you. It's, you know, it's not about you. It's not about making your name great. And I think in our capitalistic world, like you can make a lot of great money being a great leader.
Yeah.
But don't let that be your motivation, you know? So anyway.
And think about Moses, like how stinky and gross that, like that's like the lowest thing you can be doing is tending to sheep at that point. And think about like he had no idea what was about to happen.
No clue.
No clue.
Neither do you.
Yeah.
Neither do I.
Yeah. And like, so like for people who are in it and they're just like, dude, this sucks. This is stinky.
Oh yeah.
Dirty. You have no idea.
No clue.
What is before you. And to think, well, I have this like low, you know, like again, tending sheep back then would have been like low. Like you weren't high on the totem pole. And so to look at that and go, okay, Moses had no idea that what he was doing in that moment that was stinky and gross and sucked, and for his father-in-law, by the way.
Yeah.
You know, and then to not know what was on the other side. And so again, just like even going back, threading through this, like trust the process.
100%.
And somebody had said, grow where you're planted.
Yeah.
You know, and to look at it as, like Cam Stillings, again, he, you know, said on his episode, he's like, I knew I wanted to go into ministry. And my first job was, I forget what it's called, facilities.
Yeah.
And and it was so, when Cam said that, I went, Cam, in my head, I'm like, Cam, you just acknowledged the fact that facilities was ministry. At 21 years old, you just acknowledged the fact that facilities is ministry.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, that's not what most 21-year-olds realize.
Right.
And so that's a perfect example of grow where you're planted, trust the process, know that God is doing something, preparing you for something, and he's building something in you, even if it's dirty and stinky.
Yeah.
And with investing in people, I think it is really easy for people to climb the ladder and say, I don't even want to deal with that stuff anymore.
Right.
I'm up here, they're there.
I'm a big deal.
Yeah. And they forget. And people, you need to invest. If you want, when you move on, if you want that company to survive or the church to survive or whatever, you better be investing in them.
Yeah. Success without a successor is a failure.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah. And you can build a 401k, an investment account, whatever, but like if you want to build a legacy, it's what you leave in other people.
100%.
You know, not what you leave to people, what you leave in them. And like, how have you changed the way they think, how they feel, how they operate? How did you help them grow to be successful in life for the long term? And again, that's got to be a motivator. For me, like that's the thing I look back on and, you know, I don't remember what my scorecard said I got in October of 2016, whatever, but I know that I made a difference in people's lives.
Yeah.
Like I can go back and point to people outside the context of the jobs I've had and be like, I know I made a difference in their life. And I can look back and I could spend hours talking about all the people who made a difference in my life that might not even know it.
Yeah.
You know? And so I think that's got to be a motivator how you look at it. And if you look at, hey, we're farming, it takes seasons. It's not microwave work. Yeah. This is farming work. You invest into people, you sow into people, you know, you never know the difference you can make. And like, that's got to be the thing that like, once you start seeing that, and when you're in the thick of it, you never see it when you're in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And that's where you lose heart.
Yeah.
But when you look back, you're like, wait a minute, no, I can actually see that,
100%.
you know? So
there was this basketball coach. I was watching a basketball game at this tournament and this coach, it was a high pressure game. And I noticed my kids are all in sports. And so whenever I'm on the sideline, I'm watching coaches for different reasons. And this one coach was bringing water to all of his players. And I was like, man, that's a good coach.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds so like, okay, Megan, what? I've never seen that before. Sports for a long time. It's investing in the people you're leading. It's doing things and not expecting everybody else to continually do the little grind work and showing them. I think too, when you're doing that, you're showing that you're teaching them humility. You're teaching them that they're not above.
This is what leadership looks like.
Yes.
Yeah. Because when you see your boss doing something that you could do, you're like, dude, let me go get that. Especially if it's a leader who invested and cared about you.
Yes.
I think it's the leaders that made the biggest difference in your life are the ones who saw something in you before you saw it in yourself.
Yes.
Like, and that person who said, hey, you know what, Megan, you have a bright future. Megan, like, I see something in you. You're like, you do?
Yeah.
Like, that's the leader that later you're like, I'll run through a wall for that person 100%. Because they believed in me early. They invested in me. They cared about me. They, like, those are the things where it's like, why? Because like, you're like, you don't want to let them down, and not like in a weird way, but like, hey, no, you believe in me.
Yep.
Shoot, I believe in you.
Yeah.
Let's go.
And you care enough to serve me. I want to go serve somebody now. It bleeds.
Yep.
It's so good. So, all right, Drew, end us out with what, if somebody listening who is a young leader, aspiring to, grow, what is one thing you're like, if you didn't hear nothing I said, I need you to hear this.
Yeah. I would say one of my mantras about leadership is every leader needs to have thick skin and a soft heart. Yeah. But most leaders have thin skin and a hard heart. And it comes back to humility.
Yeah.
When you let humility work its way in you and you decide to be a leader who serves other people and are motivated by that, what happens is you get thicker skin, because when people criticize me as a leader, I actually don't care. It's not about me.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
You don't have to like me.
Yeah.
And there's a freedom in that. So if I really love people, I'm loving them the way God loves is with that kind of that arrows out, like, I'm going to love and serve you whether or not you love and serve me back. I'm not doing it for a hook, an agenda to get you to perform better or do more. I'm just going to love and serve people.
Yeah.
And there will be people who take shots at you.
Yeah.
There will be. So you better have thick skin.
Yeah.
And so humility helps you thicken your skin, but keeps a soft heart towards other people. Most leaders in most workplaces, if you think about the places you've worked, most of them are very thin-skinned, which means they take things personally. You're walking on eggshells. The boss walks in the room and everyone's like, oh, I got to go. Why? Because they're thin-skinned and you don't want to say the wrong thing in front of them.
Yeah.
And then they get hard-hearted towards people, because leadership will cause you to get hard-hearted. It'll cause you to calloused heart, because you got to deal with a lot of junk.
Yeah.
And so to me, it's like, that humility, when it's not about me and it really is about serving other people, you're not surprised when you're criticized. You're not surprised when people backstab you or step on you. You're not surprised when you're like, yeah, people are people. They got problems. And that's why I'm here. I'm here to serve people. Yeah. And it does give you thicker skin and softer heart. One of the examples I use for that is just one of the mammals that has the thickest skin on earth is a camel, and it's on their arms. And it's because camels walk through the desert, like, multi-day trips. And it's 100-something degrees, and they have to find rest. And so the sand never cools off. It never gets not hot in the Sahara Desert. So you'll see camels like laying down to rest or laying on those arms that have super thick skin. Why? It's like, so they don't feel the heat of the ground they're walking on, and they can find rest in the heat. As a leader, to be able to sleep at night, to not burn out, to not, have panic attacks, checking your phone at 2:00 in the morning. It's like, you have to be able to find rest in the heat, because the heat ain't changing.
Yeah.
You signed up for heat.
Yeah.
You better become the person who can handle it with thick skin and a soft heart.
No, that's awesome. I love that analogy. Drew, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks.
And sharing about leadership with us. And y'all come check out North Point. I'm at Nixa campus. Drew's at Springfield campus. Obviously, he's the lead pastor. And
I bounce around.
I'm just chilling in the seats at Nixa. You guys can come sit by me. Anyway, we will talk at y'all next time.
See ya.